On average, Pooler homes run around $50,000 less than Richmond Hill, but buyers who choose based on that number alone often pay more in the long run. Today, we're breaking down the two most asked about suburbs in Savannah side by side: taxes, commute, real estate, both resale and new construction, and the lifestyle.
We've helped hundreds of families work through this exact decision, and by the end of the video, you'll know which one is best for you. People treat Pooler and Richmond Hill like two options on the same menu, but they're really not.
Richmond Hill is in Bryan County, Pooler is in Chatham County. That single fact drives everything: different tax rates, growth patterns, and development philosophies.
Bryan County is the fastest growing county in Georgia and among the fastest growing in the entire country. Chatham is the established Savannah metro core with more mature, commercially built out, and more densely developed. Both have momentum, but in just a different way.
Once you understand that, every other difference between these two places starts to make sense. So let's start by talking about the property taxes. Nobody tells you this until you're already under contract. The county line doesn't just change your address, it also changes your tax bill every single year you own the home. And listen up, because this can get confusing.
Bryan County is moving in the right direction. The 2025 county millage dropped for the 9th year in a row, and the city and school system also reduced its rates this year. On a $400,000 home in Richmond Hill, you'll pay roughly $3,900 inside the city limits and $3,200 outside of the city limits.
On the other hand, Chatham County went in the opposite direction. The special service district millage rate rose nearly 49% in 2025, and on top of that, the city of Pooler raised its own millage rate over 13% the same year. Depending on the location, Pooler homeowners pay the county for additional services, and last year, both the city and the county bills ended up going up. So on the same $400,000 example we mentioned earlier, in Pooler, you'll pay about $5,300 in annual taxes. So Pooler is taxing homeowners more, and Bryan County is taxing homeowners less. This gap really compounds the longer you own the home.
Now, one more practical difference. In Richmond Hill, the bill comes once a year in November, whereas in Pooler, you pay twice a year in June and November. We'll get to the full price picture in just a few minutes, and when we do, you'll see why the lifestyle each place offers is worth understanding before you even look at your first home. But before we move on, if you're relocating to the Savannah area and you want a local perspective on both markets from a team who works them every single day, we would love to be your resource. Whether you're zeroing in on one suburb or you're still weighing both, reach out today. Our contact information is in the description below. Now let's keep going.
You leave the house in the morning, and depending on which side of that county line you're on, it's going to be a very different drive. Pooler wins on proximity. It's only about 10 miles from downtown Savannah, so roughly 15 to 20 minute drive under normal conditions on I-16. The airport is about 5 miles away, a quick 10 to 15 minutes through town, depending on where you live. For anyone who flies regularly for work, that access alone could settle the decision. Hunter Army Airfield is also slightly closer to Pooler than to Richmond Hill, which is important to know if you're PCSing to the area.
Richmond Hill is on the south side of Savannah, roughly between 18 and 22 miles from downtown, and typically that gives you about a 25 to 30 minute commute via I-95.
Under normal conditions.
Under normal conditions. So that makes a difference when you're planning your dinner reservations. Where Richmond Hill wins is in two areas: the proximity to the water and to Fort Stewart. There are 4 public boat ramps in Richmond Hill alone, plus 2 boat membership clubs. The water plays a major role in the lifestyle in Richmond Hill, which we talk more about later on. It's also important to know how close Fort Stewart is to Richmond Hill, making it a very military family-friendly community. The base is southwest in Liberty County, so Richmond Hill families have a meaningfully shorter drive. If you're in the military, that's an essential item to consider every single day.
There's a proposed I-95 widening project that would add a lane in each direction from Richmond Hill to the South Carolina line. And if it moves forward, it could significantly shorten the daily commute for Richmond Hill residents heading north toward Savannah, Pooler, and the airport.
The thing that you won't don't know about Pooler until you're here every single day is the traffic. That I-16 and I-95 interchange brings predictable congestion at peak hours, and the commercial districts create quite a bit of local traffic. Count on it every rush hour, at Christmas, when the Tanger outlets are packed. It's a different experience. If sitting in traffic makes you want to pull your hair out, Pooler probably is not your best option.
The good news is once you're a local, there are workarounds. Locals know which roads to keep you off I-16 and I-95 during the peak hours, which makes a difference when you're getting around town. All right, on to the next comparison.
The biggest economic development in this region is transforming both of these suburbs in ways that look nothing alike. If you've watched our video on the biggest development projects in Savannah, you know what we're talking about. Richmond Hill is in Bryan County, right in the middle of Georgia's biggest modern economic project development.
The Hyundai Meta plant opened in March of 2025 in Ellabelle, a massive investment that will produce up to 500,000 vehicles a year for Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. In September of 2025, Hyundai confirmed a $2.7 billion expansion, adding thousands more jobs and pushing production even higher by 2028.
The plant is in Ellabelle on the north side of Bryan County along I-16. Richmond Hill is on the south side along I-95. The county is long and skinny, and the two ends are a good stretch apart. That being said, the growth pressure still flows throughout the county, and the long-term appreciation tied to the development is real and accelerating.
Pooler, on the other hand, is a mature, commercially built-out suburb. Growth here is more about commercial density. Memorial Health's new campus opened in fall of 2025. Tanger keeps expanding, and the retail and dining scene is deeper than ever. Pooler is feeling the effect of Hyundai as well. It's just different. Where Richmond Hill is feeling a heavy residential impact, Pooler is feeling it commercially and industrially.
Don't get us wrong though, housing demand has been driven by a wave of Hyundai workers moving to the area, both in rentals and sales, and the commercial infrastructure of Pooler has become even more essential in the Savannah metro as that workforce has grown. Both suburbs are benefiting and absorbing it in ways that match who they already are. Understanding where the growth is coming from sets the stage for what's being built on top of it. So why don't we dive into what's building?
Richmond Hill's new construction covers more ground than any other suburb in this market, and it is worth walking through those communities. Pulte alone is selling 3 major neighborhoods right now. Waterways is the gated water access master plan community with access to the Ogeechee River and the Atlantic, a kayak launch, and resort-style amenities. Homes range from the upper $300,000 into the $1 million plus range. If you want a full-service, water-oriented lifestyle without leaving the neighborhood, this is the one.
Heartwood is Pulte's coastal-inspired single-family community with homes roughly around the $300,000 mark all the way into the low $700,000 range. There's even a brand new St. Joseph's Candler Medical Campus with an urgent care directly across the neighborhood entrance. And that detail is really important because having medical access close to home is a meaningful draw for families, retirees, and for long-term buyers. I especially love this urgent care because the providers are phenomenal and the wait time has been nearly non-existent some of the several times that me or my family have had to visit.
Listen, when you call us, ask us about why we know. It has nothing to do with being a boy mom.
×5.
Del Webb Savannah at Heartwood is the headline though. This is the only 55 plus active adult community in the entire greater Savannah area. Having just opened in 2025, this gated community along the Jericho River is planned for about 700 homes at build-out with prices in the upper $300,000, and they go up from there, plus state-of-the-art amenities and a opt-in golf course nearby.
For retirees or pre-retirees looking at Savannah, there is no comparable option than anywhere else in the area. Early phase pricing on all 3 communities is active right now. Pulte does raise their price as they release new phases, and that window does not stay open forever, so making an early decision is impactful for your budget. Now, the activity doesn't stop with Pulte. D.R. Horton has a new neighborhood about to break ground in Richmond Hill. Landmark 24 Homes and Smith Family Homes are both building here too. Richmond Hill keeps finding land and builders keep showing up. It's easy to see why it's the fastest growing county in all of Georgia.
Okay, time for new construction in Pooler. Let's look at what's available there and who it's built for. If Richmond Hill's new construction is about variety and lifestyle distinction, Pooler's is about accessibility and affordability.
Savannah Quarters is the headline community. Roughly 2,600 acres, multi-builder, Lennar, Dreamfinders, Logan Homes, and Pulte are all active here with a Greg Norman signature golf course and a country club lifestyle feel. There are other new construction communities in Pooler that run more affordable than what you'll find in Richmond Hill. So if budget is a main driver, Pooler does give you a lot of room to work within the lower price tiers.
One of the biggest differences between new construction in Pooler and in Richmond Hill is that Pooler does not offer a water access master plan community or a 55+ adult option. Pooler gives you commercial convenience at your doorstep. Richmond Hill gives you that coastal lifestyle. Neither is wrong. They simply serve different buyers. Let's dig a little bit deeper now into real estate, our favorite topic, and home prices.
The gap between these two markets is real, but it's smaller than it seems once you run the full math. Richmond Hill median price point runs roughly in the mid $370,000 range to the low $420,000 range, and Pooler is between the mid $340,000 to $360,000 range. That puts Richmond Hill at a premium somewhere in the range of between $20,000 and $70,000 more, depending on your price point.
You're paying more upfront for Richmond Hill, but less in ongoing taxes over the years that you own the home. Remember that 9-year rollback trajectory we covered in the tax section just a few minutes ago. It makes a big difference. Run the math for the years you plan to own before making a decision based on the sticker price alone. By the way, one more variable: if you have school-aged kids and you're counting on Bryan County's public schools, you're likely not writing private school tuition checks either.
Now, once you land on a number that works, the real question becomes which place fits how you want to live. And that's what we break down in this next summary.
This is where people stop running the numbers. Sometimes you just know which community fits your life best, and that usually comes down to lifestyle. Pooler has everything you could possibly need. Costco, Sam's Club, Dick's Sporting Goods, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, the Tanger outlets, it's all there, so you never have to fight your way into Savannah. There's the new Memorial Health Campus, every chain restaurant you could ever want, and the airport just minutes away. Basically, every single Erin is clustered together, which maximizes convenience for your life. If handling everything in a 5-mile radius is your thing, Pooler is hard to beat.
Like we mentioned before, what Pooler doesn't offer is that coastal lifestyle that so many people move to the Savannah area to achieve. If moving here is about being near the water, on the water, or following the tidal rhythms of the Georgia coast, Pooler's not going to give you that.
But Richmond Hill does.
You're right. It sure does. It kind of seems like Richmond Hill moves at a different pace. The Ogeechee River sets the rhythm here. You got boat ramps, marinas, kayak launches in newer communities, and golf carts on neighborhood streets. Fort McAllister State Park is just down the road as well.
It's the small town coastal alternative that Pooler simply doesn't have. Ace Hardware instead of Home Depot, a handful of local restaurants along Highway 17, and a few familiar chains.
It's quieter, more family-oriented, and has been much slower to commercialize. The trade-off is simple. If you live in Richmond Hill, you're going to drive to Pooler for Costco and the airport. If you live in Pooler, you're going to drive to Richmond Hill or further south for that salt life. Remember, neither is wrong. They just attract different people.
Let's break down a summary of who each community is right for. By now, most of you probably already know.
Richmond Hill is a better fit if you want long-term appreciation tied to Bryan County's growth. Also, if you want new construction with serious variety. If you're a retiree or a pre-retiree looking at the only 55+ community in the greater Savannah area, if you commute to Fort Stewart and you want a coastal small town feel where the pace of life matches why you're moving to coastal Georgia in the first place.
Pooler is a better fit if you fly often and need the airport close, if you want maximum retail and dining within 5 minutes, if you're working with a tighter budget where that savings over in Richmond Hill matters, and if you prefer the energy of a denser, more commercially active environment. A lot of buyers start out thinking they're simply looking at 2 different towns and then quickly realize that you're looking at 2 completely different lifestyles when you're comparing Richmond Hill and Pooler.
Once people spend some time in both places, the decision usually becomes less about the house itself and more about where they can actually picture themselves building a life day to day. Pooler and Richmond Hill aren't competing for the best suburb. They're built for 2 different versions of life in coastal Georgia. The only wrong choice is picking the one that doesn't match yours or picking the wrong real estate team to help you find it.
If you're ready to get specific, like which community, which builder, and which street, email us at meettwg@gmail.com today. We'll put together a personalized look at both markets based on what you are looking for.
If you're still figuring out where in the greater Savannah area that you belong, not just Pooler or Richmond Hill, but the islands, Midtown, or somewhere further out, we ranked every major area from best to most challenging. That video is linked on the screen right now.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you in Savannah.